Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another thing where I talk about things. And today we're going to talk about Claudia. Out of sheer coincidence, mostly because I'm getting around to this fairly late. Had some stuff going on this week, and it's the weekend. So Claudia's lying in the bed here in the office/guest room, and has decided she's not getting out of bed today. So conveniently, I can talk about Claudia, and she can be here. So everything I say about her is absolutely 100% true, unless she protests or corrects me. So yes, Claudia is she's a tiny, muy pequeño. She's a small Mexican girl. She's she's about like yay big. No, she's super small, and we actually met through shoot, what was it? I want to say Netflix, but that's not actually Tinder. We met through Tinder, and anyway. I can't remember how the conversation exactly went on Tinder, but I know that I didn't really have very many pictures because I don't take pictures very well, and I'm not really I don't like to post a lot of pictures of myself anywhere. My Facebook is basically useless. The only thing I ever really do is I have one friend who posts a lot of amusing things, and I comment on those for occasionally. And then otherwise, Claudia sends me dog videos, and that's pretty much that's all I use Facebook for. So I didn't really have a lot of Facebook pictures, and she thought that I was maybe one of those scam accounts or something like that, and then she'd be like, yeah, let's go on a date. And I'd be like, awesome, we should go see the what were they trying to advertise back then? It was yeah, Mike and Dave go to a wedding or something like that, which totally bombed in the box office. And so they were just trying to virally advertise that. So you'd swipe right on somebody or left or whatever. You would swipe them, and then they would send you a message, and they'd be like, hey, we should totally go see Mike and Dave need wedding dates. And then they would give me a link. They would do something like, oh, you swiped right, I respect that, let's totally go see this movie. And then they would supply a link, and then that was the dead giveaway, really. So Claudia contacted me, and I can't remember exactly how the conversation went, but I was like, we should go to a movie. And I think that they were hoping with that whole thing is that they would get you this idea of oh, let's go on a date, and then the person would go what should we see? And you'd say oh, Mike and Dave something wedding, except for those advertisements just made me mad, so I just assumed that it was a crappy movie and I didn't want to go. I can't remember what I suggested that we should go see. There's a place in, what is it? Beetlejuice? Oh yeah, that's right. There's a place in downtown Kansas City called the Draft House. There's actually located in a couple of different areas, the Alamo Draft House, and they're a dinner and movie kind of place, and they do a lot of dinner and movie places aren't really very good. Their dinner's not too great, but the Alamo Draft House I think is all right, and they do drinks and things like that. They do mixed drinks and things like that, so it's kind of a fun deal. But anyway, though, I was thinking oh, an old retro movie probably won't fill up. I could do this a week before or whatever. And so I went to buy tickets that week before, and they were all sold out. So completely dropped the ball on that one. I invited Claudia out to a movie and dinner date at the Alamo Draft House, and then totally missed my chance, missed my opportunity. And yeah, first big disappointment of the relationship. And yes. So instead, we just agreed to go and meet at this bar that Alan used to work at. I'd never been to this bar properly. I'd picked him up from work there numerous times, and so I'd heard about it, but I'd never actually been down to this place. And what we wound up doing is there was a big concert there, and Claudia tells me that when she got there, it was hard to find me, so she almost gave up right then and there and just went home, and then that would have been the end of that. But I texted her and was trying to guide her to the place, but they wouldn't let you in. There's this courtyard where they do these concerts, and to get into the courtyard you have to buy tickets to go see this band. And I didn't want to go in and see the band, I just wanted to go to the bar. So I had to ask around, and I was going around, and I was like, yeah, how do you get to this bar? And they're like, oh, you have to go down this back alley. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had to look around for this back alley, and finally I found a cop. There's a police officer with he's got his ID checking thing, and he's just like waiting there. And so if you approach this police officer in this shady back alley and you're like, hey man, I want to go to this bar, then what he'll do is he'll bring someone in to like escort you to the bar. It's super weird. And then like when you get up to the bar, because it's located inside the courtyard, you wind up getting to see the concert for free anyway. But you're really not supposed to do that, which I think is why finding this back alley was so difficult. And you had to consult with the police officer to go through with it. Like, it's really not all that simple to just go back there and do it. Like, unless you really wanted to go to one of these bars back there and knew to ask the officer in the back alley. Like, I don't know that you would easily just like sneak into this concert this way. But anyway, though, I got in, and like I think a lot of the people involved with the whole thing, I'll just assumed I was trying to get in the concert. But I honestly had no idea the concert was going to happen in the first place. But yeah, they checked my ID, and I look really young. So this officer, like, he was giving me this look. He's like, I nailed you, buddy. I got you. Like, I'm going to check your fake ID. And then it was like a real ID, and he was like, all right, go ahead. So yeah, so Claudia came back there and she met me, and she was super quiet at first. But funnily enough, though, one of my friends, DeMarcus, was there in the same bar that same night. And so she and I were kind of talking, and she made a joke. She's like, I dare you to go hug that big black guy. And I kind of looked at him, and like from the back of his head, I was like, man, that really looks like DeMarcus. Like, I couldn't see the side of his face. I could just see the back of his head. And I was just like, that really looks like DeMarcus. And I almost thought about like agreeing to go do it, because I was like that might actually be DeMarcus. And then I was just like, nah, you know, shouldn't go hug strangers. That's weird. But then later he turned around and it was DeMarcus. And I was like, oh, it was you. Like, I just thought it was too much of a coincidence. I didn't think that I was really gonna be you. So if I'd had the confidence right then and there, she would have been like, go hug that random black guy, and I'd been like, okay. And I would have just tapped him on the shoulder and been like, hey, buddy, and give him a big hug. But yeah. So we said hello to DeMarcus, and Claudia was really quiet for the first bit of our first date. She was super shy, and I was worried that maybe she was a little bit socially awkward. And yeah, I mean, it turns out she is socially awkward, but for the most part, in kind of a cute way. It's just you know, during the date, it was kind of funny because I was like, gosh, she seems really quiet and really awkward. Like, I don't know. I don't know how this is going. But then after she had a few drinks, she was much more social. So it kind of worked out. Like, she had a couple of drinks, and then to sober up, we went down to like this little bar and grill thing, and we had some water and some sliders, and then sobered up a little bit. And so that was fun. And we decided to have a second date, which I think was like we went down to the Mongolian Bar and Grill. Was that date 2? Is that? We went to the mall. There's only so many malls. I was a perfect gentleman. How dare you? Yeah, there's only like one mall in the area anymore, like in the whole Kansas City area. The rest of the malls are all dead. So we went down to like the Mongolian barbecue, and there was no alcohol, so Claudia continued to be kind of quiet. I don't know. She took a while to sort of warm up, and so it was kind of like it was sort of nice, but also sort of like, I don't know. I feel like I didn't really like zero in and like quite get a sense of who she is this time around. So then we did like a third date, and then a fourth date, and then, I don't know, we just kind of kept going, and now I'm living with her, and I think I've just about got her figured out. I think I've just about nailed her down now. Yeah, but anyway though, where to go from there once you get past the first date? Claudia is a great big nerd. She likes board games and things like that, but she's a nerd in denial. She doesn't want to admit that she's a nerd. She's a civil engineer. She's so cool. She's so good at math. Like, she was telling me that when she was a kid, she, you know, when you had to do those multiplication tables and you were supposed to memorize them for the most part. Well, she actually used to just sit there and then, with like record speeds, would just add the numbers in her head. Like, she wouldn't actually do the memorization, which is funny because that made like 8s and 9s really challenging. Because instead of using the simple tricks to do them, like, she would just count 8 multiple times, which sounds really hard. But yes, yeah, she's really good at numbers. She's kind of a big nerd, And on occasion, we do like game nights and things like that with their friends, and we play Smash Up together and stuff like that, board games. I played Settlers of Catan with her for the first time ever. I actually haven't played Settlers of Catan in the past. Everyone has played it. Like, it's one of those board games that everybody has owned. And so I've never really played it personally, because it feels like every time I get into one of those groups, like, everyone's like, how about Settlers of Catan? And everyone's kind of like, oh, you know, we've all played Settlers of Catan. What about this other, like, weirder board game that no one's played? And then everyone would be like, oh yeah, weirder board game sounds fun, let's do that. So, like, I always hear about Settlers of Catan, but I've never played it before. So so Claudia, on a game night with some of her friends, was like the first time I got to play Settlers of Catan. We like Smash Up. She really likes Robo Rally. Robo Rally is this fun game where you like lay out these cards. You have these little robots, and you're supposed to write a program for them. So you get like a minute, and you have to from these cards that you're dealt, choose like directions for this robot, and then they navigate around this little obstacle course that you build. And it is actually quite a lot of fun. If you screw up, then your robot will like turn in a circle in like a laser beam or whatever and cut itself open. Like, it's good fun, good fun. But that was one of the early board games that I played with her. And let me see what Smash Up. She likes the sharks. She likes the sharks and dragons in Smash Up. So her deck is essentially kill everything and ruin all bases. She's terrible. It's awful. It's awful. You're trying to do something, and then she plays these cards that just murder all your cards and then ruin the base for everybody. So, yes. I'm trying to think as far as like things that we've done. We've gone on the canoe trip, but I don't think we've gone on any big like trips or anything. We went to New York together. Yes, we did. That's right. Yeah, we totally did go to New York. I got in trouble for that one because we were supposed to go see the Brooklyn Bridge, but it was snowing, and I didn't even have a jacket. And yes, she really wanted to go see the Brooklyn Bridge, and I ruined it. But we went to the Natural History Museum, and that was okay. We got to see Tyrannosaurus bones, and also monkey bones and other kinds of bones. My ancestors. Yes, my what? My cousins. My cousins, the monkeys and the chimps. They were great. They were doing good. I like to catch up with them from time to time. We got to watch this little documentary on black holes, which I thought was funny because they were talking about black holes, but it was like a little too. It was not in depth enough to satisfy me, but it was too heavy for kids. So I don't know who they were trying to target with this like black hole thing. But you know, we got to sit in a dark room for a while, so that was fun, I guess. Dark room. We got to see the Times Square. I guess it's just surrounded by buildings. It's like they've hidden a garden area inside of a giant city. It's kind of weird, but yeah, I think I talked about that when I talked about being in New York. What else? We've been to Worlds of Fun together. I didn't get heat stroke, but I think I got close. Gone to amusement parks together. Let me see. What else have we done? I don't know. We've been binge watching different shows on Netflix a lot lately together. We finished all BoJack Horseman recently, and yeah, I don't know. These are like more like statements of like general facts of like things that we've done. To focus more on Claudia, like I say, her family actually, they are from Mexico. Her family were illegal immigrants initially, but then they actually became citizens over time. They worked most of their lives. So I have people on like Facebook who occasionally post things about, you know, like I get radical opinions from the right and left on my Facebook, and they're always stupid and they're always wrong. One of them is like they're always talking about illegal immigrants, so this is kind of interesting because he can post things about like, oh, illegal immigrants, like they can all, I hear that they fly and breathe fire, and so I can get to like Claudia and I'll be like, Claudia, can your parents really fly and breathe fire? And she's like, no, that's a malicious and wonderful rumor that's being spread around. Like illegal immigrants are not actually able to breathe fire. I mean, they can fly, but they need to like be in an airplane or a helicopter or like a hang glider or something like that. And you know, the fire is also difficult. Like it's very complex. It's a very rich history of bizarre rumors for illegal immigrants. But yes, I met her parents, and one of the things that I was able to talk to her dad about was the Mexican government, because he has a lot of opinions on the Mexican government. She was telling me that Mexico has actually gone a little bit downhill, kind of in just one generation, pretty much. Like while her parents were still young, Mexico was still beautiful and in really good shape. but through political corruption, things have started to kind of fall apart over these past couple of decades, which is unfortunate, and that's kind of what her family, their perspective is on the whole thing. But yes, I also found out that they really don't get any, like, when you're an illegal immigrant, you really don't get any breaks from the government. Like, nothing, like when they talk about, oh, illegal immigrants use up all the money, it turns out that they do actually pay, they wind up paying taxes because the IRS will bust them if they don't, while you work in the US, but the government doesn't really provide anything in return for them. Like, if they apply for anything and they get caught applying for it, then it's just fraud. And for the most part, like, they don't get social security numbers, they don't get, like, driver's licenses, they don't really get anything to identify them as citizens unless they're committing fraud, and so, you know, fraud is fraud, but for the most part, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much illegal for illegal immigrants to get any kind of government assistance, so it doesn't come up, and that's, like, one of the #1 things that I see posted about on Facebook, so that was sort of interesting to learn about the other side of that discussion. At least from, you know, the perspective of one family is like, well, we didn't get anything. You know, we just... But yeah, citizenship now. And let's see. What else? There's Maya. She has a dog named Maya. She's had Maya for 3 years now. Maya's 3 years old. Yep. Maya actually grew up with Claudia while she was in college. And she is a... destructive little animal. She hates and despises all dogs except for herself, and she's incredibly territorial. We actually now have neighbors, and this is really funny. Is they've got this little dog that just, like, loves people and other dogs, and she doesn't understand that Maya is severely stressed out by the concept of other dogs existing. So, like, we have this little hole, and we tried to, like, patch it. But there's this hole in the fence that this little dog can squeeze through. And so, like, 3 times now we've had this dog run into our yard, and all 3 times Maya becomes just furious and, like, attacks the other dog. I mean, like, I feel like I'm probably not helping, because the last time the dog got into our yard and I was there, I gave the dog some of a peanut butter sandwich. So, I mean, I didn't want him to feel like Maya threatened him, and I didn't want him to feel like, you know, we're not all bad over here. You know, some of us are okay. Some of us have manners. Here's some peanut butter sandwich. I returned him to his rightful yard. But he's got a buddy, and it's like this great big German Shepherd, and I keep thinking that if we ever, like, if we ever lose Maya to a dog, it's probably going to be like when that little dog breaks into our yard, and then Maya attacks him, and then his friend leaps over the fence and attacks Maya. And so the big German Shepherd, like, Maya's afraid of him. Like, she'll bark at him, she'll act tough while he's on the other side of the fence, but if he gets too close, she'll, like, back up halfway into the yard and bark at him from there. So there's definitely a sense of, like, she understands she's much smaller, but, yeah. Still picking a fight regardless. She hates the vet. We've taken her to the vet a couple of times, and she just goes into full panic mode when she's at the vet. Right now, she's tearing up. Claudia's got a pair of Crocs, and Claudia has kind of an interesting relationship with Maya and destruction. Like, I'd have to keep an eye on her and make sure she doesn't eat things that I care about. But Claudia has, like, these Crocs, and they are just completely annihilated. Like, even as we speak right now, Maya is tearing pieces out of Claudia's Crocs. So these are Claudia's, like, lazy, kicking around the house shoes, and they're also Maya's bored, tearing up shoes. So, yeah. We get this with, like, paper, like, for a while, until they figured out the pattern. We used to have this problem where Maya would, like, jump up on the toilet and then take the toilet paper off the top of the toilet, because we would just lazily put new toilet paper rolls on top of the toilet instead of, like, hanging them up. So she would, like, take it to our bedroom, and then she would shred the toilet paper there and just make a horrible mess. And this just makes her so happy. It's not the first dog that I've seen that did this. I knew people with a golden retriever who did this exact same thing. Like, I don't know, toilet paper, like, amazing destruction toy for dogs for some reason. So I started hanging up the toilet paper, and that seems to have solved the problem. She can't tear up toilet paper if she can't get to it. But sometimes if she's been locked inside all day because it's raining, and, like, Maya doesn't like to go out in the rain because it's wet. She doesn't like to be wet. She freaks out when she's wet. It's actually really amusing. She gets really hyperactive and runs around the house. But yes, we've given her, like, shoot, now I lost my train of thought. started thinking about Maya being wet. It's great. It's great. She like runs around. She like rolls around on the floor and like makes lots of silly noises and things like that. It's amazing. Oh yeah, now I remember. Yeah. So sometimes when she's bored and she doesn't have anything to do, Claudia will pretend to like lose track of a piece of paper or something, some junk thing, and then follows her around. And I'm not sure that's a good idea, because I feel like that reinforces the idea that like stealing things. She actually ate one of my tax forms once, and that was like kind of concerning. Fortunately, it was my healthcare tax form, and I was able to get another one online. But yeah, gotta be careful with her and paper things. She's legitimately a dog that will eat homework, if you had any. So yes, very antisocial, doesn't like new people very much, very wary of new people, doesn't like kids, but I think that's common among dachshunds in general. Really dislikes bicycles, hates bicycles. Like if people ride bicycles, and above all else, and we're not sure why this is, a black person on a bicycle. Like, worst thing ever. I don't know what it is. Like on foot it's not so bad, but oh, you put them on a bicycle and just, oh my god, like it's scary. I don't know, it's weird, like, it's just something she's completely unfamiliar with, and, so I don't know, she kinda funny. We've been talking about taking her down to the park, maybe with, like, treats, to just get her, because there's all kinds of people down there, like, riding bicycles, with kids and things like that. Dogs, they walk their dogs down there, and so maybe if we can just, like, get her to, be calm, like, if she's calm and she doesn't bark, then we'll give her treats, and maybe she'll learn to like people and be a little bit more social. I was trying to get us to do that yesterday night, but Claudia hates the heat. She's the worst Mexican ever. She won't go outside. She doesn't like the sun. She doesn't like the heat. She doesn't know who El Santo is. Doesn't respect her roots. Yeah, she won't go out in the sun. It wasn't even that bad. It was like in the evening. It was like 6 p.m. and it would be a great time to go down there. I mean, granted, there are probably a lot of other families who would say the same thing. But what's funny, though, is that I guess that Maya also shares a similar opinion, because if we take her outside for a walk and it's hot, then she gets to just, like, pant, and then, like, we have to, like, take breaks in the shade for a while and let Maya recover. I think it's because she's so low to the ground. Like, you know, she's just there over that asphalt, and the asphalt just, like, radiates, like, immediately up into her little body. She's a miniature dachshund, so she's very close to the ground. So she just has to deal with the heat. But yes, fun time. Other things about Claudia. Claudia hates women. Yeah, hate's a strong word. She doesn't hate women. She's more awkward around women than she is around men. She doesn't socialize with them as well. She's one of those girls that doesn't socialize with women as well as she does with men. I think it's because Claudia is she's very level-headed. She's very logical, and so you get into like girlfriends, and girlfriends are more dramatic. I've known girls like that in the past, similar situation. I always hear the same thing, it's always like, yeah, man, girls have a lot of emotions. And it's kind of tough, because if you don't keep track of them all, if you don't keep track of, like, everyone's feelings, girls expect each other, I think, to be more empathetic. And if you're kind of the more logical type, if you're like, listen, why don't you just, like, stop being the source of this problem or whatever, then that's just upsetting. I think women expect that from guys more. Like, guys are generally, completely useless, just useless. Like, no, yeah, Claudia nodding her head over here. Like, just useless. Like, men don't understand. I don't care. We'd rather just ride a motorcycle and do whatever it is that men do. But Claudia's come from that same perspective of like, yeah, it really isn't fair to say that she hates women. She's got a good relationship with her coworkers. One of her boss is a woman, and it sounds like they chat a lot. And she's got a niece that you hit it off with, I think is what it was, or daughter. Daughter, you hit it off really well with her daughter. You're her daughter. Claudia's her boss's second daughter, whatnot. Yeah, I haven't met her coworkers yet. There's been I've been a little bit antisocial myself to some extent, but at the same time, like, one of the ways that I would meet her coworkers is that they have this this kickball thing that they do. But it's a commitment, and I would have had to agree to do. I know you did invite me, but it's a commitment. Like, I would have to go to it every single thing, and if I didn't go, then there's not a team, and they can't play. So I have to go. I would have to go. It was once a week, but I mean, like, that's like in the evening. It was like multiple hours. I don't know. Didn't want to commit. I'm getting old. I can't run anymore. I'm too old. I'm too old to run. kickball style. I mean, like I can run, I can run around in the backyard with Maya, but I certainly can't run kickball anymore. I just with a bunch of engineers. These guys are in crazy shape. You get like all these, you get like gyms at your places of work now? You don't. Well, that's because you work for the city. The state. The state, yeah. She works for the state. Claudia works for the state. That comes up. We found out recently, there's a funny thing that we were talking about, like her healthcare package and benefits. One of the things that she was looking at is she was like, oh yeah, maternity benefits. And it sounded like really good. And we were just like looking at it, it was like, yeah, how much, what was it, like 3 months off paid? 6 weeks paid? Yeah, 6 weeks paid maternity leave, which those of you in Europe are probably sitting there thinking like, oh, that's not really very good. But in the United States, that's pretty good. But it turns out that what happened was that the governor was trying to get that maternity leave for himself and like his personal aides and things like that, like just the people in his limited office. But he accidentally passed it for the whole state. So like all the state workers got this good maternity package or this reasonable maternity package, and now he's got to try to figure out how to take it away from everybody because he didn't really want to be that generous. United States is funny. Like I don't know, we're in a sad state as far as this kind of thing goes. But yeah, we don't know how long it's going to be before he takes it away. So for now, that's kind of an interesting development. But I know, I just think it's funny. Like she talks to me about stuff that she finds. Like she was like, yeah, like we have these chairs, and they're like super expensive. She's like I think like $800 per chair. And the reason why they're so expensive is because the government agreed to contract with like a particular furniture company. So whenever we need new furniture, we can only buy through them. And the furniture company has used this exclusivity contract as an excuse to like jack up their prices to like $1 million for like a plywood desk or whatever. So anytime they need new furniture, it costs the state like nearly $1,000. It's pretty obscene. There's like this is kind of one of these funny things. I actually knew a lot about this sort of like money politics before they started talking about it. But one of her friends, Jared, was talking to me. He's also a civil engineer, and he was like, "Yeah, like we have these trucks, and I have to go drive it around this week because if we don't drive them like a certain number of miles every month, then the city just comes and takes them away. So we just have to like waste gasoline and mileage and like do stuff with these trucks, or otherwise we just lose them." And like government stuff is weird. Like when you get into like legitimate things that you could cut back on as far as government spending, this is why I say like the Republicans and Democrats in theory both have things that they could do that would benefit society, but I feel like they never really do them. And this is the worst thing about politics, is that they get in there and the Republicans are always like, yeah, we're going to cut down on gaffed and spending. But then they target like illegal immigrants or whatever. And the reason why they target illegal immigrants in their rhetoric is because illegal immigrants can't really vote. So you can alienate the heck out of them, and like it won't affect the polls. It'll just like get people who believe you will like go to the polls and they'll be like, yeah, stop the illegal immigrants. And the illegal immigrants don't really vote. So there's no way for them to go to the polls and be like, no, I want benefits, the benefits I'm not getting. So yeah, it's sort of like, I swear I'll take away something they don't even have. And like, the people they're targeting are just like, they're just like shrugging and they're like, I don't understand. So it's all kind of like weird rhetoric. But yeah, the Republicans, like when they say that they're gonna like take money away from illegal immigrants, they're really not gonna do anything. It's not really true. Like whatever money they're gonna take away, it barely exists in the first place. So and then for the most part it's fraud. So it's really just like we're gonna track down more fraud. So there's no real money saving plans there. But then you kind of look at like these things like, oh yeah, like the state highway whatever commission's spending $800 per chair. But they don't take those away because those are like contracts with their like wealthy friends or whatever. Like the politicians are just like, oh no, that's my contract with Dave Spalding Man. Like I can't take away Dave Spalding Man's checks. Like, oh god, like his company could go under, and I'm a personal investor of Dave Spalding Man. So you just get this kind of like the Republicans don't really cut down on overspending. They really just kind of send the money off to their personal friends. And the Democrat, it's the same deal. It's the same deal. Politics is just kind of crooked and weird. But yes, Claudia works on the roads around the Kansas City area. So not on the Kansas side though. Yeah. So if you're mad, if you live in the area, not all the roads. She only works on some of them. If you live in the area, she's someone that you can blame and be angry with. You can say, Claudia, why did you make this diverging diamond so bad? She's such a huge nerd with roads, dude. Like, she gets so excited about, like, diverging diamonds and, like, roundabouts and things like that. Like, if we're driving, she's like, oh, that's a diverging diamond. Like, it's, like, some kind of unique, like, a more modern, like, highway design that you don't see somewhere else. She just gets, like, so worked up and excited. You know, like... That's what she really loves. Like, Claudia actually doesn't bring the politics home very much at all. She really does kind of enjoy the engineering, and that's what she's focused on. I'm the one who gets more into the politics and has the opinions on, but you know, like it's kind of surprising. Like she occasionally kind of gets upset because she's like, well, because I work for the state, now I have to keep up with that on occasion. Because when they like, because when they don't pass the state. The new taxes or whatever, like then like she doesn't get the money to build her like highway project, so it's just sort of like she has to follow it even though she doesn't really like politics, and so it's just like I have to keep track of like the state funding and the, you know, like why didn't we get this, or like why didn't this pass, why didn't this thing go through. Like NPR did a whole segment on they were trying to raise the gasoline tax, I think is what it was, and like cars are getting more fuel efficient. We're in kind of a weird situation now where cars are getting more and more fuel efficient, but the gasoline tax hasn't gone up at all because, you know, after the big hike in gas prices after the recession, people have been really wary about rising gas prices, and they're really averse to it. So cars are getting more fuel efficient, and like the gas tax has remained the same. And like gas is either, when it's more expensive, it's just because it's more expensive. It's not because of increased taxes on it. So like the highway is largely funded by the gasoline tax. Is that right? Well, a portion of it is, I guess. So yeah, so they were considering like looking for more funding for the highway by raising the gasoline tax, but everyone is incredibly averse to it because of those, you know, just that like, you know, like, man, are you kidding? Like gas prices are high enough already. But because of the way that whole thing is gone, there's been just like less money for the highway, so they're trying to figure out how to get money. But like, you know, it's a Republican state, and so you get in this like weirdness, like how do we raise taxes without raising taxes? And it's kind of like there's no, like other than borrowing money, there's no way to just like create money out of thin air. So I don't know, just like the politics gets interesting, you start to get into this kind of like, you know, we want to raise taxes and we need to raise taxes, and here's a legitimate reason to raise taxes. We haven't raised this tax in 20 years. And then as soon as they go, it just gets completely shot down in horrible burning flames. Everyone's like, no extra taxes. No, paying more money it sucks. And they don't do it. So, yeah, local government. More people focus on the national government, not so much on the local government, but now I get to hear a little bit about mostly just the road end of things. And, yeah, I don't actually know about the contract thing. Like, do you know much about the contract thing, or is this just kind of like hearsay around the office? Yeah, the thing with the chairs costing like $800, is that kind of like hearsay around the office, or is that like an actual budget number that you're... Oh, she has no idea. I might have just lied to you about the whole budget thing. I don't know. but anyway, rumors are. I should probably cover that. It couldn't be like I don't think MoDOT's very big. I don't want to like have someone be angry calling like MoDOT, be like, hey, yeah, that would suck. Yeah. So whatever. Yeah, I should point out, Claudia doesn't really like the politics. She doesn't really follow it. She's not really that interested in the budget. I'm the one who is. So she told me this thing offhand during like a lunch break, and I'm pretty sure I just ran with it. So yes, if it's false, it's definitely false. I don't actually know if it's true. Neither does Claudia. It's just something that was said offhand. Might have been somebody joking at the office. Because didn't you have like, how did this come up? Like you broke a chair or something like that? The chairs are definitely $800. How did you find out? Was it like you broke a chair, or one of your coworkers broke a chair? Oh, okay. So she says that they just ordered 3 new chairs, and then like somebody said we can only afford new chairs every 70 years. 70 years, you said? So many years. 70. So many years. 70 years. Yeah, whatever. We can only afford so many chairs. So many years. Yeah. So I guess I don't know. The chairs are expensive, according to her coworker. Yeah. Maybe we'll get we'll get an NPR segment on it or something like that. We have like $900 chairs, something like that. I assume they're really good chairs, though. They have 6 levers. 6 levers on those chairs. Can't even imagine what you would do with 6 levers on a chair. Like, how many different ways could you adjust your chair? You can get a tilt, a swivel. You can increase the stiffness of the chair, the resistance. Oh, the armrests go up and down. Top-notch space age office chairs. You could launch. You could, if you had the rest of a spaceship, you could build a spaceship with these chairs. Be great. Go to Mars and sit in your space chair. Yeah. But anyway, I suppose. Yeah, this has been enough. I suppose that'll be it for now. So thanks for joining me, everybody. I will catch you all next time.